So I've done it, I've started lifting the sleepers up, ready to create some new paths in the garden. So, lifted a couple of big sleepers up, and you can probably see through the sunshine, it's a very bright day today. Got this gully, and this is the space between the two sleepers where the decking was on top. And you can see I put gravel in here to aid drainage all those years ago when I built these raised beds, because effectively that's what they are. You can see the side here, got an arid bed there, and that's about 30 centimetres to the base, and I added 30 centimetres of grit to create these arid beds. And by taking these away, it's exposing that structure, but I'm going to take away all these sleepers now, which will create big voids here, which I'll have to fill in with new material, and then I'll get a new path coming through this area of the garden. I'm quite surprised, to be honest, by how clean the gravel is. I expected under all the dry decking that there'd probably be lots of rats and mice and all sorts of creatures living under here, but so far, because I've lifted a few areas, there's been no evidence there's been any animals living in here, no burrows or drop-ins or anything like that. So that's a nice surprise. And this one, like I said, it's just full of gravel and it's nice and clear. Other areas that I've lifted are not so clear, because what I wanted to do when I built this area was hide all the rubble that we had lying around the garden. We had bases and foundations of other paths and old greenhouses I had to smash up, and rather than taking them away, I hid them under the paths. So I'll show you that on the other side of the garden. And you can see on this side of the garden where I've lifted the huge long 8-foot sleepers, we've got loads of rubble that needs removing. So got big pieces like this, got much bigger pieces as well, and all that either needs removing and taken away, or my other thoughts are to use this rubble to make a mound potentially in the middle and use that for the structure and add soil and gravel over the top and plant in that. So that's another way I can reuse all this. Otherwise it's a lot of trips to the dump or hiring a skip to get rid of it, because there is going to be quite a lot once I dig up all the paths. And here we've got this Chimerops palm above me, and it's been bounded by the sleepers for the last, I think, 7 or 8 years in the case of this particular plant, and also the yucca as well. And as we look down, we can see all the roots, and all the roots have actually travelled through all that gravel, because there's basically no soil in here until they go down a foot or so. And there's a mass of roots above the yucca and the Chimerops, and it's spread out those roots to get deep down into the soil beneath all this gravel to get to a water source to obviously keep the plant growing and keeping it alive. So although there's lots of gravel in here for the excellent drainage, they can still get the roots down into the soil below for that water. And obviously by removing this, the roots will be able to come out sideways as well. On this side where we've had the sleepers, you can see we've got ginger rhizomes. You can see how it's moved from one end to the other as it's travelled year by year. We've got a little colocasia there, pink china starting to grow. And these ceilings that we've got down here, these are all from the Euphorbia mellifera. And the Euphorbia mellifera was in this great big space behind me, and I've had to dig that up and remove that so I've got space to bring a winding path around this area. So it's all changed in this part of the garden. So let's have a proper look at what I'm doing with this pretty much disaster zone of a garden where I've been ripping up the paths. So yeah, the decking paths here are coming up, and as you can see, I've put down these just to show you where the new path will go. So there'll be a path coming around here, and then it will go around the corner, and all this will be removed. So all this rubble to sort out, all these sleepers to lift. Some of these sleepers are in really good condition because I put plastic around them when I laid them in the ground and underneath. So some of these could be reused or sold on. Some have rotted, unfortunately, some won't be able to be salvaged. And like I said, I've got all this rubble inside as well. So you can see how it goes around there. I'll plant another shrub there to carry on the hedge line, to cover up that gap. And then the path will go around over here, and it'll go straight forward, linking up with that bit of decking over there, so you can get between the bootia and the bamboo on the left hand side. And then it'll go right round there, come out where the Orophyllus is in the corner, and then it'll come across this arid bed through where all this rubble is, and then it will go down here around this corner. You can see lots of rubble to sort out. Better light here, so hopefully you can see, and then it'll link up back to where we started. We've got my irrigation pipes as well, so I've had to move them because they were actually pinned down to the sleepers, so I've had to take them off, and I'll probably have to relay these and may have to put some new piping down in different areas because they won't be the right length and the right direction. And to be honest, a lot of this area I'm thinking might be an arid bed anyway, so it might not need too much regular irrigation, so we might not need to use that piping. It's pretty dangerous down this part of the garden at the moment. So yeah, big beefy sleepers. You can see here one's rotten. You can see the white on it where the fungus has got in, and then you can see somewhere down this end where it's rotted at this corner as well. And then all these middle paths in the centre, I will need to dig these up, but I might be running out of time because we're well into April now. I've got to have this sort of ready and planted up for the open gardens in August, so I might run out of time to do this middle section, so it might just be the outer paths to get done this year before the open days. And I need to talk about what I'm actually going to lay on the paths, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and ideally if I had a huge budget I would probably do a really nice stone path going all the way around, but I think what I'm going to do instead is have a gravel path for this year at least, so it will fit in with this area because it's mainly arid plants in this area, so a nice gravel path going round. But it won't be easy because these paths are going to be obviously dug down to depth to get some hardcore down and then the gravel on top, but I've got all this to move, and because of the depth of where the channels are, where the decking was, it's just a bit hard to get my levels right, 'cause I'm going to have to fill everything in first and then sort of move everything about to get the paths in the right place and the right levels, so it levels up with the initial path coming through the archway there. So there's lots and lots of work to do, lots of thinking to do, lots of heavy lifting to do. So join me next time when hopefully I'll be much further on and actually getting the paths well underway.